Hello, our viewers, and welcome to our top-notch education consultants. We are back on air again after a break. We hope that you enjoyed your Christmas, you had a Merry Christmas, and you've also had a happy Boxing Day. So we are back on studio, and we would want to welcome you back because we have quite a number of discussions that we'll be holding, and I believe you've been looking forward to this great time that we will come back on air. We are back now. And I believe that we will be presenting great discussions to you, and we are proud that you're part of our audience. Ladies and gentlemen, previously you've listened to us talk about the set books, the silent song, that is a short story. We've discussed Fathers of Nations, and we have also discussed the Samaritan. The better part of this season, we'll be dealing with the silent song, which is actually the short story. Many schools are now beginning to teach the silent song. I know that those who started in third term 2023 this year, and I believe that there will be a continuation of the same for the better part of the first term. So today in our production, we'd like to discuss a man of awesome powers in the set book, that is the silent song. This is a story by Naguib Mahfouz from Egypt. I think all of us have interacted with this story. It is one of the most captivating stories here. This man of awesome power, and you know him, the guy or the man is called Taib al-Mahdi. Taib al-Mahdi is a retired public servant. He's taken retirement after successfully done his job at the public service, so he's called it a day. And finally he's home together with his wife Hajina, and most of the time he just listens to the TV and radio programs and reading the newspapers. Of course, that is the life of a retiree. Definitely you have to listen to or you watch the television, you read the newspaper, and probably have some good time with your family members, and in this case with his wife, that is Hyena. And we are told that 4 of his daughters are now married off, and therefore they are all taking care of their family. So this guy has come back home to relax. Added to his retirement is a health insurance that he's got. That means that his health is taken care of by maybe the government that he worked for. And again, he's also one of the houses, and he's actually having a retirement home in town. So the guy is a little comfortable, and that is what we are told in the story as we begin. Now, when the story begins, we are also told that an apparition comes to him. An apparition is a kind of a ghost that comes to him, and this apparition is in white robe and tells him that whatever he says will be. So he's been given some more powers even after his retirement, that whatever he says in life shall be. What a wonderful retirement, that you retire from the public service and someone gives you another awesome power, and that is the power to say, and what you say becomes, or what you say shall be. So that is some awesome power. So when this apparition comes to him, he believes that this is something that he gets because of his successful career as a public servant, and therefore it is important that he be given some more powers. So the first time that he tests this power that has been given to him, when he saw it in that vision, the apparition, is when he actually was watching TV and commands the station to change from channel 1 to the second channel, and that happened. And this excited him, and began now to order the channels to change, and the channels were changing, and to him this was awesome, because he now had the power to say anything that he wants, talk it, and it be. And so he got a little excited over this. And from the beginning of the story, there is something that comes out very clearly. the misuse of power. Sometimes, we just aspire to have powers to do certain things. But when you are given those powers, do we use those powers for the intended purpose, or we use those powers now to frustrate other people who probably do things that are not human enough? So when this guy tests the first of his awesome power, when he orders the channels to change, and the channels actually do change, he gets a little excited. So the next time, he now wants to go to the heart of the city, now to test more of the power that he's been given. And this happens when he actually waves down a taxi to take him to the city. Unfortunately, the taxi does not stop. And when the taxi does not stop so that he boards the taxi to the city, he gets infuriated. And when he gets infuriated, he looks, or he stares at the rear wheels of the taxi. And unfortunately, the two wheels actually explode. That was the first test the second test of his power. So the driver of the taxi comes out infuriated. But again, Taib Al-Mahdi feels that the guy deserves what has happened, because the guy has refused. The taxi driver has refused to stop so that he boards the taxi to town. And that was misuse of power, because you've been given power to help people. But now you're using the powers that you have to destroy the people that you're supposed to help. The third time is when he actually goes, now just after that taxi incident, he goes to the bus shelter where he's supposed to pick a bus to the city. And again, here there is some a quarrel between a woman and a man in the bus. They were quarreling over something. And therefore, Taib Al-Mahdi gets infuriated at the man when the man finally slaps this woman that they were together, one of the passengers in the bus, and he slaps this woman. And when he slaps this woman, Taib Al-Mahdi gets infuriated, angered by what the man has done, and stares again at the man. And when he stares at the man, what happens after is that the man was finally removed from that vehicle, I think helplessly, because maybe something bad had happened to him. Because remember, Al-Mahdi had been told that anything that he says would actually happen. So in this case, he looked at this man, and in the process, the man actually is taken out of the bus. And when he's taken out of the bus, the ambulance has now to pick him, probably to hospital. And that is also misuse of power, because you don't get into other people's arguments, and in that argument you feel infuriated by the man who has slapped a woman, and now you look at him with that spiritual power that you have, and finally this man is being picked by an ambulance to some hospital. And that was part of his misuse of power. But to him, he kind of thought that he had done his duty in the best manner possible. So you can see how sometimes we misuse the powers that we have been given. So the fourth time, he's in a cave or in a cafe, and in the cafe he was listening to the radio, and there was an announcer that was making some announcement about what the government has been doing and what the government intends to do. And so the character, and that is Taib Al-Mahdi, feels that this man should be telling them what the government has accomplished and not what the government intends to do. And therefore he feels that this is misinformation, and this means that the government is not working. And therefore he actually begins to feel angered by the information that he's getting. He needs accomplishments by the government, but what he receives are just things that are supposed to be done by the government. So in that process, he actually shouts that the man should actually stop what is making as announcement, because that is not relevant. And in the process, the man begins now to sneeze, and the man sneezes until he now fails even to make the announcement. And finally, he stops the radio. And when he stops the radio, he actually now puts the recorded music to play. So the announcement could not go on. So that is part of his misuse of power. That you have the power, and therefore, if you feel that you don't like this, then now you use the powers that you have now to frustrate other people, even the announcers on the radio, now to stop what he was doing. And finally, he begins to sneeze, and he sneezes, and finally even forgets what he was making an announcement for. And finally, the announcement can no longer be made. So that was also an instance of misuse of power. And then lastly, or not lastly, is when he actually sees there's some supporters for this taxman called Suleiman al-Hamalawi. Suleiman al-Hamalawi is a taxman that has been helping the government to collect tax, and therefore there's some people who supports him. So when these people come and talk to him nicely, then the major character here, Taib, feels that these are people that have actually frustrated them when it comes to tax, and therefore he orders that this man gets back to the prosecution department of the tax, so that he repents. And funny enough, this is what happens. The following day, the guy or the taxman Suleiman al-Hamalawi goes to the prosecution section and confesses about maybe his wrongdoings when it comes to matters of tax payment. And this is one of the ways in which he misuses the powers that he's got, not rightfully. You know, he's driven by anger to do whatever he's doing, and this is not very good. So sometimes what the text is telling us is that sometimes when you're given certain powers, don't misuse those powers to frustrate people. Don't misuse those powers so that you benefit yourself. So the last time is actually a case of benefiting himself, because there is a beautiful woman that has come and sat just at his table. I think he was having lunch, and this woman also comes and wanted to take something. And in the process, he admires this woman and signals the woman maybe secretly that he's got some admiration for this woman. And when this happens, actually the woman falls head to toe for him. And after that, I think the things that happened between him and the woman, until he even forgets to get back home. So when finally he gets back home, the wife, and that is his wife, and the wife, as I told you, is Aina, actually feels that there is something wrong with this guy. There is something wrong with Taib al-Mahdi, because, you know, he's been misusing his powers, and finally, when he gets this woman, he gets so overexcited about the woman, and finally he loses his powers. So at his house now, he begins to command the TV to change. Nothing would happen. So all the powers that he had actually been using have gone. All those powers have gone, and therefore he ends up a very frustrated man. He was given the power to change the systems, to change the world. So instead of changing the world, he started to frustrate people. He was driven now by anger. Now he also becomes so egocentric that he also would want to satisfy himself, and therefore he gets a woman, and that destroys him completely. So the book is about misuse of power. When you're given power with the Almighty, use that power to benefit people, not to frustrate people. Use that power rationally. Don't use that power when you're angry, because when you use that power when you're angry, definitely you're going to affect so many lives. So the book is about how do we use the powers that have been given to us. So ladies and gentlemen, that is just a brief of what we'll be discussing. Just have a taste of the silent song. I am your presenter, Yuga Zedomole. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, kindly do so, because you have so much that we'll be discussing. Thank you very much, and may God bless you abundantly.